It's so easy to love people who are kind to us, right? It's simple to love those who agree with us, who make us feel good. But what about everybody else? What happens when the very people we are called to love are the ones who have hurt us and hurt us deeply? Well, today we're going to explore what might just be love's hardest test. Let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at the universal pain of being hurt and the two very different ways we can respond. Then we'll define a really powerful, kind of supernatural type of love, dig into the serious spiritual consequences of not forgiving, and finally, we'll look at the practical steps to actually overcome it.
All right, so let's jump right in with a reality that connects every single one of us, no exceptions, the experience of being hurt by other people.
I want you to really think about this for a second. When you think of the word love, what is its most difficult application? What's the one scenario that pushes your love to its absolute breaking point?
Yeah, it really all boils down to this, doesn't it? Loving the lovable, that doesn't ask much of us. It's almost automatic. But the true measure, the real test of our ability to love, is how we respond when we've been wronged, when we've been misunderstood, or maybe even intentionally hurt. This quote just hits the nail on the head. The sources are really clear that this isn't some rare thing, it's a fundamental part of being human. We will hurt other people, and we will absolutely be hurt. So the real question isn't if it's going to happen, but how we learn to navigate that cycle of needing to forgive and be forgiven.
And that reality puts us right at a fork in the road. We're faced with a critical choice between how the world often tells us to react and a much more demanding, higher calling.
This slide shows a pretty stark contrast, right? On one side, you have the modern way, which basically says, protect your peace, cut off anyone who offends you, and just build a case against them in your mind. But then you have this higher calling, and wow, it is radically different. Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, and actively do good to those who hate you.
So how is that even possible? Really, how can anyone love an enemy? Well, the answer is found in understanding a very specific and supernatural kind of love.
The sources introduce us to this concept of agape. And look, this is not the love you see in the movies or hear about in pop songs. It's not some warm, fuzzy feeling. It's described as a divine love, a purposeful choice. It's an act of your will that is dedicated to the well-being of another person, no matter how you feel about them or what they've done to you.
And that is why it's so important. You see, while other kinds of love, between friends or family or partners, they can fail under pressure. But agape is presented as the only kind of love that can actually withstand every single trial, because it's not based on our shifting emotions or circumstances.
So, what is the single most important characteristic of this powerful kind of love? What is it that makes it capable of loving an enemy?
This is it. This is the absolute core of the whole thing. Agape love refuses to keep a running list of wrongs. It doesn't hold on to a detailed file of every single mistake, every hurt, every offense.
Think about it like this. So many of us, we walk around with this mental scorecard for the people in our lives, right? A point for every kind word, but a major deduction for every single offense. Well, agape love comes along, takes that scorecard, and just rips it to shreds.
Now, refusing to tear up that scorecard, that's not just a minor issue. According to our theological sources, holding on to unforgiveness comes with an incredibly high spiritual price tag.
You see, holding a grudge isn't a passive thing. It's actively working against you. The sources say it can literally block your prayers. It can feed negative spiritual forces, these strong men, by giving them a legal right to mess with your life. It fills your heart with hatred, and ultimately it stops God from working through you or for you.
Let me tell you this powerful story from the sources that just makes this so real. There was a woman who'd been praying and waiting for certain miracles in her life for 5 long years, and absolutely nothing was happening. So what was the issue? Well, as it was revealed, she had an idol in her heart. She had basically marked out her own husband as someone she would never, ever forgive. And the source explains that this unforgiveness acted like a legal case against her in the spiritual realm, letting an accuser, a spiritual enemy, block her prayers from being answered. But then, after realizing this, she made the conscious choice to just let it go and forgive him. And the result was immediate. The very next day, the miracles she had been waiting 5 years for started to happen. It was a direct, tangible result of her decision to forgive. Wow, that story really shows us the what and the why. But what about the how? How do we actually get to a place where we can forgive someone who has really deeply hurt us? Well, the sources actually lay out a really clear path. First, you have to recognize that forgiveness is a decision. It's an act of your will, not some feeling you have to wait for. Second, you have to choose humility. The Bible says God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Pride is what keeps that scorecard going. And third, stop the blame game. It's so easy to see everyone else's faults, but humility means we stop accusing and start taking responsibility for our own part in things.
Now, I have to add a really critical piece of nuance here. This path to forgiveness doesn't mean we just become doormats. The call to love your enemies is not a call to be passive when someone is actively and maliciously trying to destroy you. The source material makes a distinction between an enemy who acts in ignorance and one who knows exactly what they're doing. In that second case, love might actually look like engaging in spiritual warfare, using your most potent weapon in prayer against those destructive plans.
Okay, so this brings us to our final, crucial takeaway. This whole concept isn't just some interesting theological idea to debate. It is a direct and personal call to action for every single one of us.
Let's be crystal clear about the stakes here. The sources frame this as an issue of the absolute highest importance. Allowing hatred to take up the space in your heart where love should be? Well, it's described as a matter of spiritual life and death. If your life is without love, God cannot use you.
So I'll leave you with this final and maybe challenging question. As you're sitting here right now, who comes to mind? Who is that one person, a friend, a family member, a spouse, that you are still keeping that detailed mental scorecard against? The hardest test of love is right there, in front of you. The only question left is, how will you respond?